Headgear Mateta or the Swedish Dancer? Is it time to play a chip, or are we still undecided after all? Welcome to the double Gameweek 32 edition of the ever-reliable, per usual, full of mustard we are, the FPL Addicts Podcast. As always, let's fire away from it. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening over here, down on the other side, good early morning, and then everything in between, good afternoon. Welcome to yet another edition of the Addicts Podcast. Double trouble for some, with two sides having a double game week, which means we've had to search for our talent around, bring an illustrious guest, the host of FPL Meets, a well-known figure in the Twitter sphere, and as well, a hammer enthusiast, Bosch. And that is FPLFella for his first appearance onto the Addicts Podcast. Dan, a very beloved welcome to you.
Thanks for that introduction, Charlie. It's good to be here. It's good to be on a very different pod. I was on with the Americans a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm on with the Aussies. So yeah, no, it's good to be here, and I can't wait to chew the fat over last week and going into this week.
As a whole, this season, you said that you can't wait to chew the fat over last week. And how about this season in general? Because we had so many changes into the new game. How have you found it, especially with being many weeks into the assistant manager chip? Has it been a game changer, or has it become too overpowered after all?
I've had a fairly good season. I mean, it didn't start off very well. I was well over 1 million going into game week 9, but pretty much ever since then, I've had probably only 5 or 6 red arrows, and it's been mostly greens. I'm now sitting at around 20k in the world, so pretty good by my standards. The new rules with the 5 free transfers and the assistant manager, I think, has been an added benefit to how I play the game. It's meant that I can strategize more. It hasn't, unfortunately, meant that I've been able to save up as many transfers as I'd liked. But the assistant manager chip, to be honest, I played it when a lot of people did. I think around 24 to 26, around when Everton and Liverpool had their doubles, and then I got lucky, maybe not the right word. I took a gamble with Glasner in game week 26 when he got his 20 points. It was a 50-50 really between him and Arteta, and obviously made the right call there. But I like them changing the game and giving it a bit of a refresh, and hopefully we see some more changes come next season.
What a superb rank and an excellent campaign for you, up to 20k and just 5 red arrows, I should say. I don't want to mistake the other part since game week 9. Well, because of you in such stirring momentum, let's have a look, and if you don't mind, presenting your screen of your team from game week 31, which was off a short turnaround from the midweek game week 30. While he's getting that up, we've got to say hello to everyone as per usual. Gary, as always, thanks so much for tuning in. Good evening. Miriam, thank you very much. Colm, our Fulham, detector, likes taking pictures of players coming off a bus. Thank you very much to you too. Now, Dan, let's have a look at this side. 56 points last week. Got, I think it's a couple of Nottingham Forest on the bench. So overall, not too bad. Is that a Semenyo with an assist? But the big starlight, Jacob Murphy. But the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 56 with a -4. The -4 included unfortunately, bringing in Palmer, and luckily I brought in Murphy this week. Obviously, hindsight, merchant. I wish I'd just done the Murphy move, and I can't remember who I sold. It might have been Cliver, but yeah. I think that my biggest disappointment, the two biggest disappointments this week were obviously benching Gavardiol for his 9 points. That really stung. City haven't kept many clean sheets this season, and it's just sod's law that the week you bench one of their defenders, that they keep a clean sheet. And then the other disappointment was Monday night watching the Newcastle game and Murphy banging in the goals and getting the points, and hoping that Isak would get something. And it was kind of when they went 3-0 up Newcastle, you would just knew that Isak would get taken off. Even when he wasn't taken off at half time, I felt, oh, something will come here. And then eventually it didn't. And he obviously ended up then matching what Salah got, which was a bit disappointing when you take a gamble on a kind of slightly differential captain, and you go against the kind of, I don't like to say the sheep, but the kind of the template captain for the week is a bit disappointing. But yeah, 56, not too bad. It was pretty much a grey arrow. I started the week like just over 20k and finished it just over 20k. And when I wasn't on wildcard and I'd taken a hit, I can't argue too much with that.
Yeah, no, it's solid stuff. I love the Murphy pick, especially. Unlucky on Vardy, I probably did see it as quite a boring Manchester derby. Is that a fair sentiment from what you?
Yeah. I thought there'd be goals in that game, to be honest. And then how wrong was I? I watched that Sunday afternoon, and I like to catch the Super Sunday games. And yeah, it was a bit of a damn squib in the end. And yeah, I could have turned it off, but I had nothing else better to do. So yeah, sat through that, and yeah, I don't think there'll be many more boring games this season, to be honest, than that one.
Well played, Dan. Solid enough score, but more importantly, an exceptional rank. Wishing you all the very best for the season running and what lies ahead. To the podcast league in the Addicts, and in fairness, it was quite a similar score, having been accomplished. Unfortunately, Reidy isn't here at the moment, but how I went, look, really good at consolidating six figures when it comes to overall rank, 632k, but a solid game week for first time in about 6 weeks. 58. Treble Palace doing superb. Burn clean sheet. Bowen getting his goal against Bournemouth. And the less said about the bench, the better. That's 22 points. For goodness sake, man. Don't know what to say. Murphy. Don't know really who would have been taken out. Hausen with an assist. Now, with that side, Dan, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this. Who makes way out of that attacking 7 for Jacob Murphy?
What, in hindsight? I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you've got Bowen, who's a talisman for us, and it's kind of, you wouldn't want to bench him. Who did Palace? Palace had Brighton. So, I mean, I think the only one I would have maybe made the decision on would be Eze and Jacob Murphy. I think because you had, I like to play the odds, and if I've got double or triple of one team, I probably would have benched either Mateta or Eze and been like, well, if Palace go off, then you'd hope that one of them two, and that's if you really, really wanted to play Jacob Murphy. In hindsight, don't ever bench a player against Leicester. I think is what you've learned from this game week. If you've got an asset, especially an attacking asset against Leicester, don't bench them because they are bad. Maybe once they're relegated, we'll see. They might. I don't know. change their efforts, but I think they're gone already. But yeah, who's the player that's injured in the middle? I can't.
Oh, it's Ina Ribena guy.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so he might be making way, but see on the transfers because there's a lot still needing to think about. Sorry, Dan.
The Palmer one's just a killer. Like, I'd never expected for him to be benched. Just a very strange one. I think tonight he went off as well, and then Chelsea scored 3 goals. So I don't know what that's going to say for this coming game. Whether he'll get benched again. Maybe he got taken off because he's going to start this weekend, like rested. But yeah, very strange one there.
Yeah. Have you been surprised by Palmer's regression since the turn of the new year?
Look, players aren't going to score 2, 3, 4 goals every week. They're just not. There's been a lot of games this season, especially Chelsea being in that Europa Conference League. And I mean, other than Salah hasn't been amazing the last couple of weeks either. These players just hit form, then it drops, they hit form again. It will come back. Chelsea are obviously still fighting for the Champions League spots. It's now been confirmed that 5 teams get Champions League. So Chelsea will be wanting to make sure that they are in that Champions League next year, especially for the amount of money that they've got sitting in their accounts, having to pay for all these long contracts. So you'd think that Palmer will hit some form to the end of the season, and I'd certainly want him in my team when they've got half-decent fixtures. And I imagine that most people on game week 34 free hit will want Palmer in their teams.
Yeah, no, great points made on last season's top scorer in FPL Public League very quickly, and it is Tom Stones who still leads by 27 points over Bill Stewart. Bit of movement, especially within the top 10, Steve Ward coming up to 3rd. But that's the update for now from our almighty Public League of such. Now, Dan, big talking point this, and you're talking about the 5th Champions League places, and it's a great segue that you provided to our next discussion, that being what we've learned through the course of a week, it being Arsenal's 3-0 home win over Real Madrid, Villa being 3-1 down. I'll tell you who was 17 minutes down when it came to this evening's podcast. This guy here. Now, mate, where are you and what is going on?
Where am I? Well, I haven't moved country, that's for sure, Chaza. But I'm currently just at home after a few dad duties that kept me from being with you gents. So I apologise, obviously, for being late, but better late than never, as they say. I mean, if you're late too many times in a job, they'll just sack you. But in this case, I can be let off, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't want to. I know you boys are probably discussing some stuff, but great to finally to kind of speak to you and meet you, Dan, because I know there's been a few probably opportunities we've been like passing ships maybe in the past. I think I've been to a couple of, I think it was Fest and stuff like that. So yeah, good to meet you, mate, and chat to you. And I'm sure Chaz has already asked you a million questions, but how you doing, mate?
Yeah, no, really well, Reidy. It's good to finally meet you, and hopefully those ships do collide at some point, and we do end up having a beer at some point. I met Chaz a few weeks ago at FPL Meet, so it's good to see him there, and hopefully the 3 of us can get together soon.
Yeah, it'd be great. Definitely have a couple of beers or a few beers. And I know Chaz has probably got plans to go maybe Fest in the summer if it's happening. That is, I'm hopefully going to be able to squeeze that one in. So if I can, if I'm not on holiday, because that's why I couldn't go last time, then that could be the one. But yeah, I think I did have a sneaky little watch before on my way home, and I know that you're doing decent this season. 20k, so fair play to you. And yeah, obviously follow you on Twitter, and had a few good interactions in the past, and just a good laugh, really. I think that's definitely the old satire is definitely kind of definitely goes over people's heads on Twitter and things like that at times.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely got. I don't know what the word, if it's better, but I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, I used to be terrible on Twitter.
Yeah.
I would massively bait people and I don't hate Tottenham as much as people kind of probably think on Twitter. It's more just a bit of banter with friends and stuff like that. But now I've got the amount of kind of followers that I've got, and I don't know how I've got that many, but I just have to be careful now. So I toe the line a little bit more than I kind of used to. And I'm not faceless anymore. Obviously, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but seeing people at meets, I don't want people turning up at meets and towering over me and giving me what for at an event where we're all meant to be friends and having a few beers. But no, I enjoy it. It's a hobby that I probably spend too much time on. I get people at work saying, "Are you FPLFella on Twitter?" And I kind of go a bit sheepish and go, "Yeah, I am," and stuff like that. But no, it's all fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember those days. I say, like, I think it was just when COVID time, and there's a lot of people who are new on the scene on Twitter, and it's so tempting and a little bit probably easy when you do get a bit of a bigger following and things like that. Must be so easy to just throw a line out there and see what you can get and stuff. But I agree, definitely in terms of, I remember certainly, I don't know if Chaza, you were about around that time in terms of Twitter and stuff. Dan getting in a few debates, let's just say that. So yeah, better definitely handle it better these days. But you learn with experience, don't you? So,
of course, yeah. I've learned from it, and I've kind of muted. I mute more than I block, but then I've as you said, really, I've learned to kind of, when people give it to me, I'm a bit like, because I've met so many people now, I kind of like the people that have met when I've met that and they give it, that's fair enough. I know where it's coming from, but it's when you haven't met them, you don't know how sinister it is. The written word is obviously, it can be a bit dangerous, to be honest. But no, it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and on that last topic, Chaza, there was one time, right? I won't say the name, but there was one time there was a thing where it was like there was FPL manager was like prepared to like go down or go to wherever it was and meet up with someone and have like a straightener, or it was. I remember at the time, I was just like, "What's going on?" It was, and it's a guy actually who you might have met at the last meet, Chaz. He might have even been there. To be fair, he's from up north, but yeah. So it's definitely been interesting. But that's enough of that, anyway. I guess we can go back to whatever you guys were discussing. I don't want to throw you off track, I guess, Chaz, or are you moving on to something else? You just let me know, mate.
Well, we were pretty much off track, but I'm going to bring you on track because I want to bring you straight onto the scene like Mika Richards when he was 19 years old, Reidy, because you had a 68-point game week. Over to you. And no pun intended, how did you manage that?
Do you know what? You know what? I've nearly lost track of what game week it is myself. It'd be 31, was that one just now? Yeah. AM active. I also brought in Jacob Murphy. So, on that front, I guess I owe it to those two guys in getting that 68 points. Green Arrow in the 200k. It feels like it took me forever to get inside that, and I've been like 300k there or thereabouts. But yeah, it was nice. 68 points, clean sheet for Eddie. And unfortunately, obviously, the Isaac captaincy didn't work out going against the Salah ones and stuff. But what can you do? So that's pretty much that. I think I always like to probably talk about who was my favourite kind of player that got me a decent score. I don't think you're going to probably beat Murphy, to be honest. 16 points is unbelievable. I mean, Munoz probably gets a mention, but quite a lot of people own him anyway. So, on that front, but people who went for Gordon, obviously not great for them. So 68, and I'll take that. Yeah.
Mate, Ripper score 78k game week rank 2. You really can't complain much more than that. So well done to you. Top stuff. Right. What was our next topic? That's it. Villa Assets, because they were now 3-1 down in the Champions League. And then they've got Southampton away, which is quite appetising from managers who may want to play a bench boost. What's the stance currently? What's your take on Aston Villa assets in general, Dan? First to you, and then over to Reidy.
Well, I think it's a tread carefully. I might be a bit biased because I'm not actually going to own any Aston Villa assets, which is a bit scary for me going into a game week where they're playing quite possibly the worst Premier League team we've ever seen. Statistically, I actually think Leicester are worse than Southampton, but that's a different story. But I think it's one of those ones where sod's law, you'll have the one asset that gets not a surprise benching, because obviously they're still in the Champions League and they're playing the easiest. They've got the easiest fixture of the season, so it's just one of those tread carefully. I think if you've got one or two of their assets, you have to play them. I think I wouldn't be going out and taking 4-point hits to bring their assets in. And then I think it depends on your strategy, because obviously they've got a double game week, haven't they? In 33. So I guess if you haven't got any, and then you're not free hitting, and then you're free hitting in game week 34, then maybe it's worth taking a punt. But then who do you punt on? Do you punt on Watkins? He's been getting benched, and that's a lot of budget taken up.
Yeah.
Rodgers is fairly cheap. The Bournemouth assets haven't been great the last couple of weeks. So if you've got space in there, or Martinez, they're probably not going to bench Martinez. So I don't like taking goalkeeper transfers, but if you've got a luxury one and you can bring in Martinez for pretty much guaranteed clean sheet, knowing me, they'll probably go and score they'll probably go and concede at the weekend now. But it's one of those ones. There's so many options there, isn't it? They've got Asensio, Rodgers, Tielemans, Watkins, Marlon. Like, who's going to start? And they can't all start. And sod's law, as I said, the one that you own will probably get a bench in and then come on for 1 or 2 points and have a run around. So I would just tread carefully, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Dan's saying, because it is a headache on one hand. On the other hand, it's similar kind of what I want to say is to Arteta. Now, I expected him to rotate in the league, which he did. You know what I mean? I expected him to do that. I think a few people were just saying, nah, he won't rotate. It's this, that, and the other. But I just thought the magnitude of Champions League, they looked at, surely they're too far behind to catch us, even though there is still a chance, mathematically. Now, onto the Emery stuff and Villa, like we're saying, picking players. Is Emery at the point now where he's going, we're 3-1 down, we're the fantastic team in PSG. Are we going to focus now on the league instead? Like Arteta kind of put his focus on the Champions League. Are we going to focus on the league because we know the top 4 is potentially achievable? That's where the interesting factor comes in, aside from what Dan's saying about who do you pick. I mean, that in itself is an absolute minefield. So it's really, really tricky, because the minutes man himself, Rodgers, he's played, dare I say, every game this season. He's played 90. Is he going to get rested this weekend? So, yeah, I agree with what Dan's saying, and I'm not, and it's really going to be like a psychological thing of Emery goes, do you know what? I'm going to play a semi-strong team in the league, and then I'm going to rest some ready for the Champions League. So transfers are precious at this time of the season, more so if you're using chips as well. And it just feels like we're all getting that squeeze at the minute. Like we know what fixtures are there, we know who doubles, etc. But what's the like the extra thing edge that you're trying to get? You know what I mean? And I think that's where it's so difficult. So yeah, Martinez. It's interesting you mentioned that one, Dan, because I've got double Palace defense and Mateta, and I've been thinking I don't want double Palace defense. Look at the fixtures; they're terrible. You know, it's horrible. But then like the goalkeeper transfer again. Oh, you know, you don't really want to waste a move on a goalkeeper. But I'm going. I want some of that Palace attack instead, like maybe an Eze or a Saw or whatever. Wildcarders obviously have brought those in. So I'm going, oh, maybe Martinez. I'll bring him in. I want to maybe AM in 33 and get Arteta. I've got Timber and I want Saka, so it kind of, you know, it would block it if I get Raya, the Arteta AM. So I'm in that predicament at the minute. Do I get Martinez and does he start at the weekend? I don't know. I don't know. It could backfire, like you said. Olsen's probably sat there rubbing his hands together, going thinking, "I'll get an appearance this weekend. Happy days." So, yeah, that's my thoughts. I think anyone who'd be thinking confident on minutes, good luck to them. Good luck to them.
For sure.
Honestly, I just can't decide if I'll play a chip or not, even after seeing the Champions League lineup, how unpredictable it is. I mean, now them being 3-1 down, Emery's mindset, pretty much.
The 2-1 though, do you think that 2-1 is tighter so he's more going, oh, do you know what? We're still very much in the tie. They're not completely done yet, but if they'd hung on last night and got the 2-1, would Emery maybe have been more kind of reserved and gone, I will rest a lot of players at the weekend?
If you was a Villa fan and you turn up, are they at home on?
They're away, I think. I think they're away.
Away at Southampton.
Yeah,
all right. If you turn on the TV and you see that Emery's picked the strongest 11 against Southampton, what message does that give to kind of the fans and the players and the squad? Does that say, yeah, we're giving up on the Champions League now because we're 3-1 down and it's at Villa Park the second leg? You never know. They went 1-0 up last night. You never know. It's how much do you throw caution to the wind with that? So yeah, can we get in Emery's head a little bit and think, would he really throw it away? Would he really play the strongest 11 versus Southampton? Who will he rest? Will he rest a couple of players? I think, yeah. It's us as FPL managers that have got to try and second guess what he's going to do, really.
Yeah.
No, spot on. Great points from a pair of you. It was a very important discussion point. Women's League, very quickly. Mira, one of our Australian favourites, still leading by 31 points with a terrific 58-point game week. Not much has changed within that top 5. Yes, that is the leaderboard, which started in game week 2 down in case you wanted to have a look at it. So there's your Women's League update there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we've got a couple of questions. I know Fella was on to talking about West Ham punts. So in case anyone didn't get it, the question was from Cole. The only West Ham asset looking brilliant in game week 33. Is it Bowen? He says probably, but could also punt on one. Basaka. Reidy, quick one for you. Asensio looks like he could be a punt for this game week, yes or no?
I was thinking about that actually when we were talking about on the back of the points we made about Villa. Bit of a strange team selection from Emery, I thought, last night. It was just like Asensio didn't start. A couple of the Pau Torres got a game. The last time he featured, I don't know. Asensio, really like him. I've always had a kind of soft spot, even when he was at Madrid, and obviously he wasn't to be for him there. But Asensio, could he be the punt for this game week? Is the question. Oh God, him or Rashford maybe. You could go for Asensio with him not starting. Is that an inkling that he's not first choice in that team? For me, he goes in that first 11. But if I was to say and just be a boring manager, I'd be like, don't go near it, Colin. Just don't do it, just in case. But yeah, that's it. It sounds boring saying, "Oh, don't risk it," but yeah, we don't know. We really don't know.
Smashing input. Hopefully that helps. Colin, thank you. Reidy. Cortex, good evening to you. Great to have you back for the first time in a good while. Quentin, one of our favourites, especially when it comes to food analogies. Reidy knows this well, proper, firsthand. Dan, question to you. Bench boost this week or game week 36, which we don't really know a lot about at the moment?
Well, I mean, and I can share my screen again, but I've currently got the bench boost active. And it's mainly because I feel like I've got a benching headache in Milenkovic, Semenyo, and Kirkes, and I just don't think I'll have a bench as good as that for the rest of the season. I know that everyone is on bench boost 33, but I can't do it because I need to free hit. I've got hardly any double game week players because as you can see, I'm probably the only FPL manager in the whole game that hasn't got any Villa or any Arsenal assets in my team. So yeah, I need to free hit in game week 33. So I'm just thinking I won't have a bench as good as that for the rest of the season. And then once I've got rid of the bench boost, I can start having kind of bench fodder players on the bench and start using some of the budget wisely. So I think the long-winded answer to Cortex is was it Cortex who asked it?
Yeah. No, Quentin.
I think the short answer to Quentin's is if you've got a good bench, then why not use it? We've all been addicted the last few seasons in having 15 double game week players because there's a huge double game week, but I just don't think that's going to happen. That's not going to happen this season. You're going to have 12 or 13 double game week players at the most, and it's just not going to fall as perfect as it has the last few seasons. So if you've got a good bench this week, then why not? And 36 is an unknown. We don't know, and I think the fixtures for your bench are probably better this week than they would be for 36.
Oh, that's great, Dan. Any transfers, by the way? I mean, this is just a brilliant segue to our latest segment, so you may as well just go all out. Give us your entire team selection. It says you got the best looking bench you can possibly have. Did you make any moves at the moment?
No. Okay. No. So I took a minus, as I said, I took a -4 last week. That was kind of because I thought Chelsea had a decent fixture last week, and then I got stung by Palmer being benched. And then obviously Palmer's got a great fixture this week at home to Ipswich as long as he starts. So yeah, this is no transfers. This is rolling my transfers so that I can free hit in 33 and have two free transfers in game week 34 to make sure I can get 11 players out. I've got 10 at the moment. But yeah, I think it picks itself if I wasn't bench boosted anyway. Because as I said, Bournemouth haven't been on the greatest form, so I probably would bench one or two of those Bournemouth anyway. And then I think the captain for me this week picks itself as well in Isak. It's the only other one I would consider is probably Jacob Murphy. I know you mentioned at the start of the pod about Mateta, but I just don't like the 2 away fixtures for Palace, having to go to the Etihad with City fighting for Champions League, and then obviously Newcastle in the same position. I'd prefer one of the Newcastle boys, and Isak on penalties. We always like to captain a penalty taker, don't we? So yeah, I think it goes without saying to have Isak as my captain. Boring, I know. Sorry.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. That's going to be the most picked captain more than likely, isn't he? So it has to be. It feels like Mateta, never know, could come off early or something. And Newcastle, they're up there as well, fighting for Champions League, right, as well as City. So better fixtures. United are terrible. That bench boost That is just. I mean, I can absolutely see why. And you know what? One of the first questions I was going to say was, why are you free hitting in 33? What about 34? And then you went on to say, obviously, you've got 10 players, you've got 2 free transfers in the back pocket. Boom. So that's phenomenal because, and I'm a bit jealous really, because my plan, I was potentially going to free hit in 33. I was thinking, there's some banging doublers. No one's going to be doing it. Everyone's going to be using 34. Yeah. And then I checked, obviously, how many I had for 34, and I went, I'm going to have to take a hit and things like that. And so, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not in that position. But great planning, mate. Great planning, and that's where it gets you.
That's what my game week. That's what my team will look like in 34. And then I'll have 2 free transfers to kind of sort out getting a couple more players in there. So I've got at least a bench player and then a full 11. So yeah, it's just making the decision on Mateta or Mamouche to move out for a striker that plays that game week. I think Wolves have got a fairly decent fixture that game week. Yeah, Leicester. Wolves have got Leicester, so I could do Mateta or Mamouche to Cunha, and then play the free, and then play the free 3-5-2 that game week.
Yeah, it's a really good plan, and you're in a great position. Really, a great position to kind of use the bench boost, how it's fell with these players that you've got, and free hit 33. You're gonna potentially be able to go for, have Saka in your team. Obviously, I know people are going to go there, but by then you might be able to put Watkins. Who knows? Depending on Champions League outcome for Villa, and fantastic.
It'll be triple Arsenal, triple City. I can't remember who else have got the doubles, but yeah, it will be a triple up from 3 teams: Salah, and then probably Rodgers or Watkins. And then enjoy the fun.
Beautiful. What do you think, Chaza? Smashing bench boost, isn't it?
Just a smashing guy, smashing manager. I mean, just look at it. What a team. Let's face it. So, expecting 100 plus, or else we're going to write it down. It's as simple as that. Speaking of predicting rights, which is what Leeds United fans love to chant after a win, maybe some rights in the transfer market. So, this is how we look now, surrounded by doublers and those who are pretty much on the beach and injured for the rest of the season. First off to you, Reidy, are there any particular surprises in the top 5 in both ins and outs?
Top 5 ins and outs. I mean, I think the top ones is it's just doublers, really, isn't it? I think apart from Rodgers, but people are moving on Rodgers if they didn't get him in wildcard and things like that. Livramento, great pick. I mean, obviously he got a big haul in the last game against Leicester, which matched Eddie Howe. People like myself who went Eddie Howe. So if you tripled up on Newcastle, fantastic. But no real surprises in. You know what I mean? It does what it says in the tin, really, on there. Outwise, I mean, I don't want to talk about it all, so I guess I'll leave that to you guys to discuss.
Yeah. Any particular words here, Dan, on either the ins or outs?
I think the ins, as Reidy said, speak for themselves. I'm surprised Rodgers is that high up, but I think, as we've discussed, it's the Southampton fixture that everyone's kind of targeting. The outs, I mean, they're mostly injuries. Gabriel, probably people moving him on for the likes of kind of Saliba. And then, Cliver, big minutes risk, but also obviously picked up the injury, and Anya as well. So, I mean, in Mbeumo, I guess that's just because there's probably a lot more different options now in that midfield. He was probably a must own a few weeks ago, and I think he's been probably one of my favourite assets this season, to be honest. But I think tough fixtures, haven't got a double. I think that's probably why people are kind of moving off of him.
Yeah. No, good shout on both the 5 ins and outs, and just kind of agreeing. Reidy, what are you laughing at, mate? You're doing something.
No, I'm not laughing at all, mate. It's just, you carry on. It's just enjoying it. I think ins and outs, obviously, it's like not much to discuss at this point of the season, like we said, with fixtures and things like that. So you're not really surprised about what's going on. The Gabriel, some season enders there, like Gabriel, he's done for the season, but obviously with Wood and with Clive, we don't really even know the timeline on that until we get more press conference and information at the back end of the week, I suppose.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
Fixtures section. I'm going to start with you, Reidy, to show Dan what we usually do. But the routine is pick one standout fixture. It could either be from a football perspective or from an FPL perspective out of all these possible
Don't
fixtures.
steal mine, Reidy.
Well, it's interesting that you come on of all weeks, this week. So, yeah, I'm not going to steal any fixtures. However, what I will say is, I'm going to. Do you know what? It's. I mean, there's some doubles, and obviously the Newcastle and Palace doubles. This. I feel like it's a tough one this week. I'm going to go for Forest Everton. It feels like a boring pick, but like my real pickers are Arsenal Brentford, just because. Yeah, I'm going to go Arsenal Brentford because I don't know what Arteta's going to do. He's 3-0 up in the Champions League. Great position to be in against Real Madrid. Obviously, people have got Saka, things like that. We've got Arsenal defenders in our teams, and it's a big game really because they play before we play. If they win that game, they close a bit of a gap. And then pressure's on us as such, and we've not looked great lately. So I think that's a huge game, 5:30 kickoff. Arsenal have had time to process things and focus maybe back on the league. But it'll be very interesting, as I say, to see if Arteta arrests any players. So that's the one for me instead of Forest Everton. I don't know. Forest for me, can they cling on to Champions League? So maybe that's why I was going to go for that one. But it could be a ball draw for all we know. Yeah, Arsenal Brentford for me.
Dan.
The obvious one for me to pick is Liverpool West Ham. It's actually my household derby as well. My wife's a huge Liverpool.
Yeah, your missus is a Liverpool fan, isn't she? Yeah.
My wife's in New Orleans at the moment, and she just messaged to say that she hasn't got tickets for this Sunday. So we'll be watching that one on the TV. But the other interesting game, and probably one that people haven't looked at, is the Wolves Spurs game. They're obviously playing tonight, and I think they're 1-0 down, Spurs. So it's going to be a weird one because Angie's team selections have been very interesting this season. And then sandwiched between the two Eintracht Frankfurt games. Look, Wolves and Spurs are definitely going to stay up this season. The three in the relegation zone are down. But it's still playing for positions and a bit of pride and how far you can go. And if Wolves beat Spurs on Sunday, it's gonna make it even more precarious for Ange and what's going to happen at the end of the season. So I think that's going to be quite an interesting game, that one. Yeah. And I think Cunha's back.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Cunha's back. So
I feel like. And just at what point does he? I feel like, do you know when Conte was kicking off about a few years back about Chelsea, and he was like making his feelings known in press conferences and things like that, and then it was like, oh, he's the writing's on the wall, he's going to get the boot. I think Ange just does not give one whatsoever. He just carries on, and like some of the stuff he's come out with this season, and you're just like, how long is he going to last? Is it till the end of the season, or if they go out with this competition, is he going to get sacked then? I can't remember having a manager like him in the Premier League.
Oh, of course, he's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Australian. So maybe he's just not made for the Premier League. But decent pick, Dan. I wasn't expecting that one.
What the book?
Oh well. Yeah, and I know you're a closet Spurs fan anyway, Chaza. You're wearing an Arsenal top, but you've got Tottenham managers thingy, and you've got a football shirt from somewhere else, haven't you? You know what I mean? Like, I know Dan's well cultured and well travelled. You see, so you've only come from Australia to the UK. What's your excuse? But get that book burnt at some point. You know what I mean?
It's 1-1 the Spurs game, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, 1-1.
Right. My game, Southampton Aston Villa. It has to be. It's not so much in terms of how many managers may have Villa assets. It's more what we can take as a reading of them heading into their double game week 33, and to mention their Champions League deficit just before. But cracking round the fixtures, 11 games, and it ends on Wednesday evening. So the game week's going to take a while. Let's say that. Well, Reidy, have I forgotten anything just before we present both of our double game week 32 sides?
You have, mate. Unfortunately, absolutely shocking, Chaza. Shocking that you've missed it, mate.
What have I missed?
You need to go blow your nose. So, look, he's human. Now you can go blow your nose, mate. I mean, what's the next? What's next on the agenda?
Okay, no, that was staged because I've actually got something to show.
Go on.
Now I mentioned this to Dan before we went on.
Yeah.
Actually, no, shit. Before I do that, I actually need to go and play.
He's gone, and just like that, mate. He's cracked up. He's cracked up. But yeah, I mean, like obviously, we were talking about Europe and things like that. We've got Champions League this week, so we've got a few headaches. I mean, it seems like you're set for your bench boost. You don't need to worry about Bournemouth and Forest. Maybe from a form point of view from Bournemouth. And one player I want to talk about before Chaza comes back is Semenyo. How long have you owned him? Like, what's it been like owning him? Because I think I had him maybe at some point in the season, but he's a top player. He's a really good player, but frustrating at times, right?
Yeah, I can't remember when game week 29.
Okay, so it's not been long then.
No, it's not been long at all. No, I can't remember why. I think it was I had Dango, and I think when Dango lost out. Oh, it was on my wild card. So I wild carded game week 29.
Yeah.
I wild carded early. Was there a double game week that week? But no, I think I had a few injuries going into that game week, and then there was a few teams with some decent fixtures. So I was like, look, I'm gonna wild card game week 30 or 31. I might as well just wild card it now, and that's why I've used the strategy that I have. Because when I wildcarded, I gambled on the game week 34 fixtures, and I've been using free transfers in mind for game week 34 rather than everyone doing the game week 33.
Yeah. Different tactic in that sense because of the early wildcard and stuff like that. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, bit brave to go there before FA Cup, outcomes and things like that. But you put your money where your mouth is sometimes, and you come out on top. So well done for that, mate. But yeah, you're back, Chaza, refreshed, ready to go.
Yeah, I do have a presentation. Actually, it won't take long. It'll only take a couple moments, and it's not quite a Rev spreadsheet. So, Rev, if you're watching, I'm sorry for not living up to your level. But on a few days ago, and I've done this for the last few seasons that Reidy might know because I've wrote a journal for each of the seasons that I've sort of done, especially in the last year. This is a tally of the goals, assists, clean sheets, bonus, bookings, goals conceded, average, the rolling average through the course of the season. So this is through every game week, and we can see game week 24 was illustrious as it was with 8. And there's been a few game weeks where no one has been booked, which is staggering. Plenty of bonuses, and just players being helmets, constantly getting booked. But that's not my point. My point is, if I scroll to the bottom, end of game week 31, the last 6 seasons. Of all the seasons here, this, in actual fact, it's 1977 now. I didn't even update it. This season has the most points of any campaign, but it's the second worst rank. I'd like to know from you guys, why is it the case that managers are scoring so much this season? Is it because of how competitive the game is? Or is it how overpowered the assistant manager chip is, plus the permanent captain to Mo Salah.
Yeah, it's a mixture of the three, but it's spoon-fed. To be honest, I don't think there's been a season where information has been spoon-fed to people as much as this season. I think it's been increasing the last 3 or 4 years. And look, that's nothing against kind of FPL content like this or Harry Focal, Let's Talk, all of that. It's the content actually coming from the official website, and we're literally. I genuinely feel now that you probably don't even have to watch any FPL content. You could just go on the FPL official website, and it would literally tell you who to bring in. I see articles on there like these are the top 3 people to bring in and all that kind of stuff. Even like the price changes now get, and I'm sure that they weren't always put on there like the morning after the price change and stuff. So I think it's that. I think it's just got, it's weird. The game's got easier, but it's also got harder. It's got easier for people that kind of are not as engaged, but it's also then got harder as we've seen in your rank. I then also think, yeah, perma captain Salah, he's just had, look, he's broke records of FPL points. He scored the most FPL points a player has ever scored, and we're only on game week 32. So if you've perma captained him every week, then you've got a player who's broke records. And then, yeah, the assistant manager chip has obviously probably given everyone 30, 40 points extra than we wouldn't have had in other seasons. So I think it's a mixture of the 3. But I wouldn't say the assistant manager has been a big influence on that, because probably a lot of people haven't even played it yet.
Reidy?
Yeah, it's interesting because like we're so engaged in the game. But Dan's right. It's like almost like they're trying to like push everything out from a social media point of view. Everything's there at a click of a button, all the rest of it, which is great. And I don't begrudge, individual in terms of like solo content creators and whatnot doing what they do. Fantastic work. Some of them do amazing work and put a lot of effort into it. But it is that case of, oh, well, you know what I mean? I can wake up the morning of before deadline. I can just watch a bit of this or check that or whatever. And it is almost like, how easy do they want the game to become, and how people probably do less thinking time from that aspect of things. So yeah, like maybe it takes out the competitiveness of people's own ideas, or that like sort of, people still plan, but you've got lots of tools there to help you do all that. So it's becoming harder for that reason. And can you really kind of like be like, oh, well, you know what I mean? I'm never going to be able to get a good rank because of that. Or Dan, probably perfect example here. He's 20k. He's used different strategies, things like that. He's maybe not gone with the herd necessarily with everything, but he's doing fine with it. So you can adapt and you can change things, but it does definitely make things a lot harder than it used to be. That's definitely the case.
Yeah. No, great.
Yeah, it was a long-winded answer, but you get where I'm going with it all. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and like me and Dan are a fair. Well, sorry, I'll speak just for me, because Dan might have 10 years. I might have 10 years on Dan, I should say. But I know I'm a lot older than you, Chaza, and I've been playing this game for a long, long time. I've not probably took it seriously for God knows how long. I know my ranks would probably say different, but now I'm getting to that point where I've been playing it for that long. I've recognised that. Whereas yourself, you're in your early 20s, mate. Here we go. He's probably gonna.
Here's a CV.
Who's this? This Dan's. Oh, right. Okay. Thank God for that.
Is this mine?
Yeah, I think it is. Is this yours, Chaza?
No, that's mine. I think that's mine.
Yeah, 06, 07. It has to be yours.
Well, yeah, because you're in the mini league with KSI, so it's got to be yours.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. And like 06, 07, same as me. But I was like,
it's 20. It's our 20th year next season, Reidy.
Yeah, it's scary
20th
stuff,
year.
man. And like, you know, the back in the day, it'd be like your Lampards, your Gerrards, your Rooneys, you know, and all these sort of players. And
I will always look back, and so there's a league there you can see where I'm third, CH Firm. It's the one with the green arrow. So that league has got about 140 people in it now. That league started with 6. And that was just my school friends. So CH Firm is Chadwell Heath, where I'm from. And it was 6 of us who all went to school together. And that would have been from 06, 07. And then since then, it includes people that we've gone to uni with, so uni friends. When we've joined workplaces, we've spoke about FPL. Friends and family have just joined it. So it's gone from 6 people to 140. And we all put money in. I know it's obviously against the rules, but we all put kind of money in.
Yeah, Monopoly money, of course. Everyone does that.
And there's like over £1,000 pot, and I've won it a couple of times, which is a nice little bonus in May. But yeah, I mean, that's just how much the kind of the game's grown.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and with that though, Dan, sorry to cut you off there. How many people in that league do you reckon use content or watch stuff or copy people and things like that?
It's a strange one because I get addicted. I'm addicted to it. I mean, last year, obviously, I was addicted to the KSI one. I'm not this season because we haven't got the bet. But I'm addicted to Gameweek, FPL Gameweek, you know, the website. And I go in on a kind of a Monday morning or even after the deadline, and I'll see what changes people have made. And you can always tell the people that are playing properly, the people that know what they're doing. I don't think you can kind of tell whether they're watching content. I think it's more they know how to play the game.
Yeah, certain moves that like, you know, popular moves or like, you know, people who are injured, like you'll get those people who are like leave an injured player in, or you'll see one week they've got a certain team and you look at the week after and you go, well, they've not changed anything from last week, whatever, like things like that. I use FPL Game Week as well, actually. I love that. It's site. Amazing, you know, I love that site. And then like I love the way you can look at the season view, standard view. You can look at the monthly, obviously, scores it gives you. I'll tell you a little story actually. So I'm in a mini league with a friend of mine. I've you know known him for years, used to work with him. And you know, he knows what he's doing in terms of football. He watches football, you know, eye test, all the rest of it. He's not a stats guy, but he's a knowledgeable guy when it comes to the football scene and FPL. We've been playing a few seasons. I'm in the mini league with him and some family and stuff like that. Now, we were talking a few days ago, and I said, "Oh yeah, we've got such and such coming up or whatever." Now he's not aware of FPL team. He's not aware that you can plan.
Oh,
ahead. Now he might watch this back, and I know he's like that. He might watch this back or say, "Oh." Now I sent him a screenshot of the fixtures that were coming up from FPL team that had the doubles in. Now, bear in mind, he hadn't played his second wildcard yet. And he was like, oh, I didn't realise this. I didn't realise that, blah, blah, blah. Now, while this is going on, he's planning his wildcard. He's like, I've activated wildcard. I delete the screenshot. So I deleted the screenshot and he's gabbing away. And he says, wait a minute, where's that picture going? And he's none the wiser. This is what you're talking about, like mini leagues you're in, whether it be friends, family, or whatever. Like there's some people that are completely like out the loop, just go on a proper app or site, and they just know that's that, you know. Yeah. And if we're mugging them off in a way, you know what I mean? Like this information you don't have to share with anyone, obviously, but you kind of go in, well, I've got maybe a bit of an upper hand here, which is great. You know, it's great in a way, but I felt bad because I was like, oh, well, he's not known. He's ended up doing a cracking wild card, by the way, because he kind of seen the fixtures and he knew what's what. But you know, that's how it sometimes works. So some great ranks.
Eventually, they'll find those websites. I mean, yeah. I mean,
some fantastic ranks there, though, Dan. I mean, look at the state of that, Chaza. Look at the state of it. Some of those, especially from what we're talking 1920 season onwards.
Yeah, I've been decent since COVID.
Yeah.
I had a few shaky ones. I mean, I think there's one. Is there one that's 2013-14 when I finished 25k?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
24.
broke my leg that season. So I actually used to play football for a
Yeah.
decent standard amateur, and we used to
Mm.
play on Saturday afternoons. But it used to be like all day, so we'd travel there and everything.
Yeah.
And I didn't used to play FPL properly back then. I used to miss the deadlines. We'd be on the coach and I'd be like, oh fucking hell, I've missed another deadline and then we'd be on the coach back seeing what the scores were and watching the late game, and I'd be like, oh, I'd have brought that player in and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it was like in the millions. And then since 13-14 is kind of like when I've kind of started playing properly, and then 2020 is, or 2019-20 is when the addiction. So FPL Addicts, there's a little anecdote for you. That's when the addiction proper started, and that's when kind of FPLFella kind of started. Really.
That's it. That's where it all kind of like, came from and stuff. So great ranks, for the last few seasons, but lovely stories as well. I love that, the fact that you used to miss the deadline. You were like, on away days with the lads and things like that, playing football. I've got no stories like that, no excuse. I was just too young to really know what was going on. I go on there, more football knowledge and probably a lot of what we call the eye test and watching games and things like that. So yeah, it was. I'm explaining that story about my friend not really knowing about these apps and other things. That was me way back then. And we've got some people who are on Twitter at the moment. We've got some unbelievable rank histories when they started out all the way back then, and they were engaged from the beginning. So it's there's levels to this. There's levels, and I understand that it's already getting harder, as we've said. There's more players, it seems, that more engagements, but we aren't going to stop playing this game. That's for sure.
Chaz, playing FPL, has it got you more into football?
I love it how there's a question thrown at me. This is the best part.
Curveball for you there, Chaza.
I think it's certainly growing the interest in watching more games, but also interacting with such a wider community. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. For example, you watch all those catered shows such as the FPL show, and then the interest grows. I think Optus Sport, when they got the rights and then they played the fantasy show through the World Feed, that played an integral role many years ago. And I think that's when I started to fall the love within the game. Mainly from a Twitter sphere perspective, I think it was probably the FPL social event in 2022, meeting like-minded managers after COVID. So that's how probably getting myself out there has projected the way it has.
Yeah, I think it all ultimately for me, I think although we love the game when we play the game, we're addicted, like we're saying. I think it's just the love for football, obviously, where it starts out, isn't it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Ultimately, that's what it's about. And the fact that the Chaz is kind of like, he'll go to any game going. I mean, he went to Plymouth Norwich the other week, to watch them and stuff. And so he's definitely in love with the game, and now he's definitely in love with FPL, and there's no going back, Chaza. You do realise that it's like the demon headmaster. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, but
I go to you should go to proper non-league, Chaz. Find your local, because you can have a beer while you're watching as well.
Yeah. He's been going to Taunton. Taunton nice. Whatever league they're in.
Nice.
Taunton stuff, haven't you?
My local is Billericay. They a few seasons ago they had quite a few famous names. Who's the Spurs guy on TalkSport?
Jamie O'Hara.
Yeah, he played for Billericay Town a few seasons ago. They had an owner take over that just chucked money in, like a multi-millionaire that just chucked a few million in. He's not there anymore, but they had a season when they had quite a few big names for kind of, they only get 300 or 400 spectators over there. It was quite funny, but yeah,
that's quality.
It's always good to go to your non-league.
Yeah. Oh, geez, thoroughly enjoyed the discussion, but we have to keep moving. And Reidy, it's time to review our sides. for game.
I was going to say it's about that time. I haven't had my tea yet.
About that time.
I'm
Turn off
chomping.
Music, yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit here. But in terms of team, I mean, I think Dan's talking about bench boost earlier. For myself, it's a bit of a tricky one because I feel like I've got a benching headache. And you're saying to get my team up. I was like that thinking, oh, surely I've got the app open already. I actually haven't, so I'll get it up there. I must have been that busy.
Okay. Would you like me to go first? In fairness, I could be a while.
No, go on, mate. I've got it here. I'll
Awesome.
try and see if I can present it. Unless it asks me to log in. I know it's done that to you in the past. And
have you seen it live too from last season? That was funny.
Yeah. So there we go. I think I'm almost there. So yeah, me for this week. I want to say, have I made a move this week? Maybe. Let me know if you boys can see the team and stuff. I am, yeah. So I haven't made a transfer yet. I've got Eddie Howe as manager, as AM. I'm sticking on that. I think I'm going to stick with him. 2 good fixtures.
Yeah.
I think I've got possibly a dilemma in terms of whether to start Timber or not. Williams probably at home, good fixture for Forest and stuff. Guardiola and Munoz pick themselves. I think the team probably picks itself, doesn't it, boys? And the dilemma for me is, do I take a -4? Do I take Henderson out, bring Martinez in, and take Bumo out and bring Eze in? That's the move I'm tempted to make this week. So, do I do the move or do I not? I mean, Dan, as a manager who's kind of like got a decent rank at the moment, do you think I'm taking too much of a risk, especially with a goalkeeper?
What's your? I guess you just got one free transfer. What's your strategy like for what? So in game week 33, are you still on assistant manager?
Yes.
Yeah, and then game week 34 is that
free hit?
Yeah,
bench boost in 35. I'm doing.
So because it might be worth. Is there a player that, I mean, we spoke about it earlier. It might be worth like an Mbeumo to a Rodgers, or like you said, Asensio, or like a Villa mid. So it adds a double game week player for 33 and gives you a decent fixture for this week. Or is there anyone else that's doubling in 33 who's got a decent fixture in 32? If you want to get rid of Mbeumo.
Definitely getting rid of Mbeumo, because Palmer is a keep this week with that fixture.
Yeah.
Palmer's Saka next week.
Yeah.
And the AM is going to cost me a -4 because I'm going to get Saka and I'm going to get basically Arteta. I mean, that's the plan.
Okay.
There is another option I was thinking of, and the option is this. It is to get Raya because, let's face it, most people who are carded went for Raya. I'd have Raya and Timber. I would also then just get, could be Villa, like you were saying, Dan, or it could be Palace still, because I think I wanted to get Eze.
Yeah.
And then with that, I would be able to. I was thinking that I would be able to go Pep Guardiola AM, which is probably horrible, but what's the thoughts on that one? I think they play Everton.
I like that.
They play
You're adding a double. I mean, you're adding an attacking double game weeker, where, I mean, I don't think we're going to see Palace clean sheets. So, yeah, I do like that -4 because it sets up nicely for having a double game week goalkeeper in 33 as well. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that move.
The question is, based on the AM that I'm using in 33, is Arteta and Martinez better than there? So it'd be Arteta, Martinez, and Eze, I guess I'm talking about. I think because Eze has a double in 33, don't need Palace play another double. Is that better than Pep, Raya, and I don't know, like a Rodgers or something? I think that's what it's.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference.
I think keep it simple
Mm.
and decide on who you want as your assistant manager for game week 33. Out of those, I guess it's out of those the double game week managers. Which one do you want?
Yeah. What one thing that kind of like makes the Arteta one a bit easier is Palace have the cup 3 days later, I think it is, with the Arsenal fixture. Obviously, Arsenal play Ipswich, which you think is a banker, and then Palace maybe be rotating, given what I've just mentioned. So it kind of like it's so annoying in a way that like Timber or going for Raya, because I want Saka as well. Blocks the Arteta. And Martinez, I'm not massive because like, does he get dropped this weekend? But also, I think in the double in 33, Villa's fixtures aren't great. Is it City and who's the other one? City, is it Palace they play?
Yeah, I think that's why I only wanted. One Villa asset in 34, 33 because it's Newcastle and City.
Yeah. So Martinez, I mean, it's not a great pick in that respect. So I might end up going, although City are absolute toilet at the moment or lately. Everton away, is it the worst? Probably not. And then I think they play Villa at home there, which of the two, you'd probably want it that way round. So I might end up going for Pep just because I'm thinking, you know, triple Arsenal, like in Saka, Raya, Timber. I've got the triple Palace, and then I just go for Pep Guardiola, and Palmer will be Saka. So that's where I'm at, boys. I don't want to spend any longer on it because I know you want to look at your teams or tell everyone. But yeah, I'm like for a -4, it's throwing me in a bit of a headache at the minute.
And the hit's not just for 1 week. It'll pay off.
It's a back-to-back hit, which I hate. I'm like, I could just keep Henderson, and it wouldn't be a hit this week. Next week, I could just I could just end up keeping Eddie and getting Saka on my 1 free transfer. I'm taking 2 -4s, and then I'm free hitting and I'm bench boosting. So the -8 overall, I'm thinking with doubles and whatnot, I'm like,
it'll pay off.
I've convinced myself. Yeah,
exactly. Just do it.
Yeah.
Let's see the thing, Chaz.
Right. So, this is a side at the moment 3-4-3, 1 injury, but we're at a crossroad.
Looks like a great team to me.
You're not making moves on a Thursday night, are you, Chaz? Risky.
It's not a 4-point hit. We've got 4 free transfers with 1.1 in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Tasty. Aina, surely he's the first one that looks like.
Okay. Crossroad moment, Reidy. Is it worth going down Aston Villa territory? Because if I do, that's probably more inclined playing the bench boost, or because of the uncertainty of minutes, do we just kind of roll over another transfer for next week?
5 frees for 33 would it be? So you could, I mean, how many doublers you want at the minute as it stands? You'd have Palace.
Do you know what?
Go on.
Do you know what I always do? Sorry to cut you off, Reidy. Is I always take my team back to the pick team screen, and I just look for this, and I always just look at this week, and I look at that, and I think to myself, am I happy with that team for this week? And I think that's the question. That's the question you need to just ask yourself: are you happy with that team? And if the answer is yes, then just roll and have 5. Is there anyone there? Is there any player? And then the other answer, another question is there a player out there that you want in your team for this week? And when you flick this team up, I was like, wow, it's pretty much the exact same team that I've got. We've got different goalkeeper. I would leave that as is.
Yeah.
And the 5 next week is going to be strong. That is a strong position to be in, having 5 free transfers next week.
Would that be the first time that you've got to 5, Chaza, or not?
I think I better host a party, to be honest. Like, I'm not having a great season, but I can possibly hold for 5 consecutive game weeks.
What a cracking point, Dan. I mean,
yeah,
we'd have completely probably avoided that and went, oh, he's got 4 frees. Let's see who we can bring in. But then you are creating a benching headache effectively, or thinking, do a play?
Who would you bench? Who would you bench? Who do you not want in that starting 11?
Well, I think the bench is as it is.
Yeah. So I think you leave it, and you've got 5 next week. You've got double game week. You can go and have a bit of fun next week and pick who you want to pick and go with it. What are you scared of? You scared of Villa?
Yeah, but even seeing that deficit and the uncertainty in minutes, I don't think I'm as scared as I was probably a couple of days ago. But in fairness, if it wasn't for your presence tonight, Dan, I would have transferred in 3 Aston Villa players right by now and just clicked the bench boost.
Do you know what as well? Think about what I've just said, right? I've just said I want to take a -4 to have your exact team, right? Raya and Eze in. Now I'm taking a hit for that. You've got free transfers in your locker. So I know you want to catch me up, Chaza. I mean, I'll give you a -8 just to see if you can, test the waters, so to speak. But Dan's spot on. There's your first 11. You've got Bowen on the bench. I mean, you haven't to bench Bowen this week.
Well, what's good about Bowen too? He's at home to Southampton next week. Now that's a lot better for bench boost.
There we go.
Yeah. And you'll have 5 that you can bring in a whole flurry of double game week players for next week. You can choose the one. I mean, what happens if you bring in a Villa player and they're benched, or at worst they get injured or anything like that? It's always nice to have those transfers in the back pocket for that week you want to kind of use them. But no, for me, that's a definite roll.
Fair. Yep. Fantastic. And at the moment for game week 34, we've got 8.
Yeah, so you've got 5 free transfers there. So you don't even have to take a. You could free hit 34 and then keep your 5 if you haven't used them next week. So yeah.
And bear in mind, Chaza, you're using AM 36 to 38. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the only choice now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, those transfers could end up coming in handy later down the line, especially with AM. If you've got to use a transfer in the last 2 weeks, obviously of that chip. You could be sorted, mate. You could be sorted.
Yeah.
Damn it. What have I just been saying about that -8? I might need to rethink that now. Jesus.
Yeah. That's it. No, beautiful. All right. One more segment to do. I better do my usual. And in fairness, not a lot to go over. Just a couple of facts on each of the sites. It being, let me just get on solo layout first. That's Captain's Corner. So we've got 3 options. All right. So we start off the Swedish dancer. As per the subheading, Man United, Palace both for home. 14 goals, 13 home outings. He's already scored 10 and assisted 4 this campaign. Wenger boys, headgear, probably wants to play NFL at halftime, whatever you want to call him. Jean-Philippe Mateta time. He's only playing twice in his last 10 away outings. He's managed 13-point hauls in 2 of his last 4 league outings, and he's achieved the most points per start of any Crystal Palace player this season with 4.8. Mo Salah, we breathe. 10 goals, 5 assists in 17 league appearances against the Hammers. Right up there for being statistically one of his favourite opponents to go up against. In addition, he accumulated 16 points against FPL Fella's side in a 5-0 away victory in December, in which he, our talent for tonight, would rather me mention less of it. And on that evening, he also accomplished 200 points. A couple of weeks ago, he accomplished 308. That's all for Captaincy Corner, because I think it's double trouble time. There you go. Just quiet, subtle. No Cole Palmer this week. Sorry, he's just bollocks at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, simple Jack's definitely been off it for a little while, hasn't he? And we've got some juicy doubles to come. And I mean, people were hoping for a bit more against Leicester from Isak, but yeah, it wasn't to be. But Man United, everyone loves to see them get hiding these days, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think they're due one. So, yeah. I think we're all set for this double game week. Jesus Christ, we've cracked the code.
Yeah, we've done it.
What's the need? But yeah, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on, Dan. I mean, I think it's been great, and I think do you know what? I feel like, Chaza, we've not probably sat here and talked less FPL and a bit more, football and other stuff. So I think that's fantastic. And yeah, best of luck, Dan. I mean, for the season, 20k. What are you realistically hoping to get to?
If I could finish the season now, I would. To be honest,
Would you?
I'd be happy to take. I'd happily take 20k. The dream would be top 10k again. It'd be nice to say four top 10ks in 6 seasons, but yeah, I haven't got that many chips left. I've only got bench boost and free hit left, so I'm a bit behind compared to others, and I feel like some managers out there will catch me up. But yeah, no, if I could finish it now, I'd finish it now at 20k. I'd be happy with that.
Interesting. And are you going to be in trouble with the missus this weekend if you boys beat us at Anfield?
Yeah. She flew to New Orleans on Saturday, and when she landed, I had a message from her straight away saying Arsenal had dropped points, and she was all happy. And then I think she watched your game because of the time difference. She watched it in bed on Sunday morning on the TV, and she was pissed off. Like, we was messaging each other. She was pissed off about that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if we if we were to get a result against you, yeah, no, she wouldn't be happy on Sunday. There's a funny story from a few seasons ago when we beat you 3-2, I think, at our place, and she came with me. And following that game, she said she's never coming to watch a Liverpool-West Ham game with me ever again because I got right in her face. I'm a much more passionate fan than she is. I'm not saying I'm a bigger fan, but I'm a bit more passionate because obviously when we beat one of the big boys, it means more to us. But I'm sure you'll turn us over. Look, our season's over. We're on the beach. We're probably the most on the beach team there is. Like, we're not going to get relegated, and we're not going to qualify for Europe now. So
what that does do for me, though, how I look at it is it kind of brings in that freedom. Like, there's no pressure, is there, anymore? It's like you're on the beach, but there's a kind of thing of going, maybe last 3 game weeks of the season, you're more on the beach, so you're thinking of the holidays or whatever. But when it comes to this stage in the season, when you know you're safe and you're not competing for anything, it's just the freedom because you're a bit more like relaxed, I guess. That's what worries me about you boys, is that if you come this weekend and we're complacent or, looking a little bit tired, I think we could get punished. So, yeah, I'm a bit worried, and I hope you on the end of some stick. Obviously, if you do beat us, I know you'll be quietly giving it one of them. but yeah.
I'll be giving it one on this on but yeah, in my household it could be a bit quiet on Sunday evening. But yeah, no, looking forward to it, and hopefully it's a game because we haven't had any good games for the last 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, it'd be nice to actually just watch a good game of football, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Sound beautiful. Cool. Once again, Dan, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Anytime.
Beautiful.
Anytime.
Right, guys.
Good to see you both.
Great to see you as well. Catch you for double Game Week 33 just before it's shown upon us. Probably roughly this time next week, but that's still to be discussed in due course. Until then, all the best for the double trouble Game Week 32. Roll on that, man.